Hey Terraformers, we are back for another video, and in this one what I want to do is I want to start using Terraform Cloud as opposed to local, because we're now getting to into shape in terms of being able to put our infrastructure in the place that we want to put it in. Another thing I want to tackle is I want to be able to create more than one house or home. The platform I think supports at least 12 homes per user, so if you want to make more than one, you can make up to 12, but make one or make as many as you like to the limit. But what I'm going to do is make my way over to issues, and we're going to create a new pull request. And here we want to do two things. We want to have multi-home, Terraform Cloud. Now, really, these could be two separate tickets or two separate issues. I just don't want to make them two separate videos, and I want to get this done here. But probably in a project, you'd probably itemize them as two separate things because we're trying to accomplish two different things. But I'm going to go here and say, move our state back to Terraform Cloud. And we want with local execution, And the other part of it is we want to provision more than one house or Terra home. Okay, so those are the two things that we want to accomplish in this branch here. We're going to go ahead and create this new branch. You saw me click in the bottom right corner. We'll create that branch. I'm going to go over to code here. I'm going to drop down main. I'm going to go to 56, whichever number is yours. That's great. I'm going to go ahead and open this in Gitpod. We'll give it a moment to think, and it will launch that workspace. Interesting, I didn't checkbox it, so it should have let me click the button, but that's okay. And so here we are as it is launching in, and I want us to make our way over to Terraform Cloud. So we'll go terraform.io. And we'll say try Terraform Cloud. And we'll go ahead here and we will click into our project, because there's one particular setting, and I don't know why I forgot about this, but it was a boot camper. I think it was a boot camper named Andrew, so kudos to Andrew, that pointed out that in Terraform, or Terraform Cloud, we can change the execution mode to be local. And the reason that's important is that when we were doing Terraform Cloud earlier, we found the process to be very slow. And I mean, there's nothing wrong with this. It's quite normal for it to be slow when everything is done remotely, meaning that the commands are executed on the instance, and that's how you'd want to do that if you're doing GitOps. And that's the only way we could do this if we were using GitOps. But for the purpose of this bootcamp, we're going to switch it to local. I kind of wish that we did this at the start of week 1, because we could have been letting Terraform Cloud manage our state while still using local, and we wouldn't have to worry about losing our state file, which was quite the headache. So anyway, this will still execute things locally on our machine, but the state file will always be managed by Terraform Cloud, and we'll go ahead and update this organization. I thought maybe this is at a project level, because this says workspaces, but I really only want this at the project level, and I'm wondering if we can configure that here. Go to settings. And yeah, it looks like we can. So, the organization was defaulted to, I really didn't mean to change the organization level. I'm going to go back and fix that. But the project level, I want this to be local. And we'll go back over to settings here, and I'll just change this back to remote for the organization, right? And I'll double check this by going back over into our project and back into settings. And yeah, we can see that is now to local. So we are in good shape here. I mean, this project is called Terra House 1. I think I'd prefer if these projects were named what we want these to be. I'm just trying to think about this. It's like we have infrastructure, and I guess the question is, do we want all our infrastructure managed in one Terraform file, or do we want to break them across multiple files? Because that is something that we could possibly do. There's two different approaches to that. Like, this just comes with how you want to draw boundaries in terms of your infrastructure. And I don't know, there's just two different ways of doing it. So I think for the simplicity of this, we're just going to keep everything in one area. I don't really like the name Terra House 1, so I'm going to go ahead and change this project And I'm going to go ahead and delete it, I suppose. No, I'm not going to delete it because it's so much work because I have to make a new one and put the keys in. I don't want people to get confused. So what I'm going to do is I'll just stick with this one. We'll make our way back over to Gitpod. And in here, I want to go to our main TF file. And we have this remote information that we were using prior. So we'll go ahead and uncomment this. Notice we have remote and cloud. Technically, I just want to stick with cloud. So I'm going to go with that one. And what we want to do is go up here to Terraform Bash, and I'm going to go ahead and build our plugin. I think this is something I want to do on a regular basis. So I'm going to go to the Gitpod YAML. And for the Terraform one, I want to just run this every single time. So we have the source here. Whoops, the source here. I'm going to go here and just put in build provider as such. Okay. And that will at least set this up so we don't have to remember to do this every time initially. So we'll do this. And we'll give it a moment to download things. We'll be back in just a moment, okay? All right, so it's built that there, and we're gonna have to do a Terraform init. This will not probably work if you have it set to remote, because right now this Terraform provider is a binary that is built locally. It's not published. Now I could technically publish one and then we could all utilize that, but you know, I might have to go through that process and see what that's like. I'm gonna go ahead and type in tf init. Sorry for the cough. And so here it says incomplete lock file information for providers. I think that's totally fine, as long as it will push to Terraform Cloud. I guess we'll find out. I'm going to go ahead and do a TF apply. And that is going to see if it works. We just want to see if it'll work in this case. And I'll type yes. And so now we will wait and see. Oh, did we not just type yes? No, we didn't. Okay. And so this is going to set up our infrastructure managed by Terraform Cloud. So we'll go ahead and type in yes. And we will now just wait. So I'll see you back here in a bit, unless it throws an error, okay? And of course, it's showing a lot of information because we have debug mode on there. And it is a lot, but you know, I'm gonna leave it on, okay? All right, so after waiting a little while here, our deploy is complete. Let's go take a look over at Terraform Cloud to take a look at the state of our stuff. Still, again, I kind of wish I called this Terra Homes or something else, but that's totally fine. And so I'm looking for our latest run, or at least our state file being managed. So we do have a bunch of stuff in here. This shows the last trigger. So the thing is that this is when we were running runs on this machine. And so it's never going to show like approved and stuff like this. This made sense when we were doing that. We can't really return to that unless, again, I get the provider pushed to the registry. But anyway, if we go down below here, we can see resources, and it shows, this is the date here today, September 29th. And so these resources are now being managed by Terraform Cloud. And this is really great because, you know, we can stop this environment and come back to it, and we don't have to constantly worry about losing our state file because now it's being managed by Terraform Cloud. And that's how I really wish that we did all of week one. But now that we know that struggle, we'll learn in the future. But anyway, so you know, that's occurred there, but I want to make sure that I'm able to deploy more than one town at a time. And so I'm going to go over to our main TF, and you know, there are different ways that we can handle this. I mean, we could technically put and make two folders and then deploy those separately. But what I want to do is I just want to have a second home here. So something else I might want to have is I would like to have a Terra townhouse that is going to it's going to set one up for another project. And so we have how to play Arcanum. And so another one would be, I would probably put this other one in the Cooker's Cove, but this would be like recipe Making your own payday bar. So that'd be something that I would probably put in the other one. So since I really like payday bars, but they cost so much to import into Canada, I decided I would see how I could make my own payday bars and if they are more cost effective. So this is something that I'm thinking about. And up here we have module AWS house CloudFront URL. And that makes sense here. We have this resource up here. Sorry, yeah, so this is house number 1, and this would need to be house number 2. So we'll go down here and copy and paste this here and say allow. This actually might be a good case where we could do another for loop. Or we could use a more complex data structure because we are repeating something here, but we'll have to make a decision for that later on. But anyway, so here we have the index file and the path, and I kind of want to vary this up a bit. So these are going to go to the public directory, and they are there. The only issue with this is that this will only work for one house. I know that we have HTTP server serving this one up here, but I think what I will do is I will make folders inside of this, and I'm going to make one called Arcanum, and I'm going to make a new folder in here, and this will be payday. And I'm going to copy or drag these into its correct directory. Same thing with this one. Same thing with this one. Okay. And so now I have those in isolate over here. I'm going to want a new file here. So I'll say index.html. This will be error.html. I'm going to make a new folder here called assets. And I do actually have an image. I think I posted it on the Discord. Not sure where, but I'm going to go grab it. Under food, maybe. Maybe it was under random. So I'm going to go to off topic. I'm just doing this off screen because I got a bunch of payday bars. So box, I'm just calling it box here. It says it wants to save a reference to it. I don't want that. I actually want to save the image. So 1 second, I'm just opening this up in my browser. There we go. And then I'm going to drag this to my desktop and name this payday box. And I'm going to close this one out, go back over to here, and I want to drag that into that folder here. Okay. And I'm going to go, and again, you make your own pages. I'm just making what I want to make here. You do what you want. It's all creativity here, but you don't have to do too much right now. Just payday, making my own payday bars. And here this will be payday box. I mean, I like other candy bars besides just paydays, but this is what I want to show here today. I want to see if localhost will work with this. So we'll go over to our ports. Well, I'm going to stop this one and start it back up so that it can attempt to serve again. And I'm going to go over to this here, and it has 2 directories. I'm going to go to payday, and so it's not exactly showing what I want. The issue here is that this is treating this as its own, like to the root here, and the root is actually here in public. So that is a little bit of a challenge. I mean, what we could do here is if we want to run specific pages, we can go here and just say public payday. And now we can open this in a browser and see if that works. Still, okay, there we go. That's working a bit better. But for whatever reason, it was not working before. This is a little bit large, so I'm just going to go here and just say width 400 or 300 pixels, so it's not overkill. I'm just going to stop the server, start it again, and I'm going to go over here, go into payday. That's the old one. That's not my new one. It's probably because, let's go back here. We'll stop this. Public payday. Open browser. It's not exactly doing what I want it to do, so I'm going to go HTTP server here. HTTP server. npm. And we'll go here. Okay. And there is an option. It says path, and that's what I did. Maybe I have to do period period there. So I'm going to stop this for a second. And we'll say period / like this. Yeah, so now it should be serving this up instead. I'm going to open the browser here. Why is it not doing what I wanted to do? / payday. The folder is called payday. I don't know. I'm not going to fiddle with it right now. I'll come back to this, but I definitely know I'm not making a mistake here. It's a bit frustrating. So I'm going to work with this a little bit blind for now, and I'm not really that worried about it. I'm going to go ahead and save that, and let's go back over to our main TF file here. If we go down to the ground here, we have the Arcanum one, and then we have the Payday one. So up here, we're going to have to make some changes with our variables. So I'm going to go over to variables here. And I want to be able to switch paths here. So we have index HTML file path, error HTML file path. It would be nice if we could just take the folder and it would just take the files and it was assumed that those things are there. Well, we do explicitly have them there. It just depends if we want to make it conventional, right? Like there's an expectation that those files have to be there. Because instead of having these three, we could just then specify the exact path. So we just say like, you know, path to files. And, you know, maybe that would be a good idea because that would save us some trouble. But if we do hard code that, it does kind of suck. But I think that's kind of what I want to do. So I'm going to just say public path here. And then this way we'll just do here. This is for my first house, and this is going to be for Arcanum. So I'm going to say Arcanum. Of course, you name it whatever you need to name yours to be. But this will be Arcanum public path. And I'm actually going to take these three out. And I'm going to go down to my other one here. Paste this in here. And I'm going to take out these three here. This one's going to be not Arcanum public path. This is going to be Payday public path. All right, so that makes sense. And then down here, we have to change these because the modules are different. Yeah. Let me think about it, okay? I just had to stare for it at a moment, and now that I'm thinking about it, we call Terratown House up here, but what we can just say is, because we can name the module actually whatever we want, as long as the source is the same, I think that it should still work. So I'm actually going to change this. I'm going to say home Arcanum, and then down here, this will just be simplified, so this will be home Arcanum, okay? And I mean, this is CloudFront URL. I kind of wanted to say domain name instead. I'm kind of getting tired of typing that. So I'm actually going to change this to be this. So we are making changes. This one will be home payday, right? And then down here we'll have home payday. And this will be domain name as well. Okay. So now I've made some changes to our module. So let's go over to our variables in our modules. And in here, I don't want to do all of this anymore because I'm kind of getting tired of doing that. And I'm just going to have one called public path. Public path. And this will be the file path for the public directory. I know we have one for assets in here somewhere, so maybe we can modify that. We just have it as a string, so I'll just take this out here. And I'm going to go and take out error. Public path. We'll take out the validation here. And so this is going to be a lot more simplified, and it's going to be based on convention. So we just have to know or document that that's how our module works. So maybe we'll document that here at some point. We could do it now, I suppose. And so in our README here, we'll just say Terra House, AWS. Again, I really wish it was called Terra Home because that's really what it is. Could we just rename that now? Yeah, I'm bad. I'm super bad. I'm renaming it. I don't care. We're going to call this Terra Home because that's what it is. It's not a Terra House. It's a Terra Home. And I really feel that I did wrong there, and I really want to fix that. And so in here, I'm going to change this to Terra Home. And then we'll go down here and change this to Terra Home. But we want to say how this works. So the following directory, we'll just give an example. So this will be an example. Paste here. We'll go down like this. And it's important to note, or the public directory expects the following: index.html, error HTML, assets. Everything at the all top level files in assets will be copied, but not any subdirectories. Okay. Okay, so that explains a little bit. We could do better documentation than this, but I think that's sufficient for now. We didn't even provide the provider, but I suppose that would go into the provider's documentation. I want to go over to variables. Well, we already changed public path, so now we got to fiddle with a few things. It's all in storage. So if we go into storage, we have here our files. So we have our upload assets, and this is reliant on the var assets path. And so now really what we're going to do is say assets, and this is going to be our public path instead. And so that should get us the same result. I'm just going to search if there's any other assets in this file here, /assets. Assets path. And there are a few more, so I'm going to go here, public path. And I'm going to go here and just say plus assets. Say public path assets. And I remember that the assets paths had this is supposed to have a / here, so that makes sense. This looks fine as well, so that looks good to me. I'm going to search for assets paths a bit more here. So I'm just going to look for file path now because that was the other one we changed. So here we have the source for that. And we want this to be var. We can do interpolation here. That's what I kind of prefer to do here. Public path, and this will then be /index.html. So that'll be the source there. We need to do the same here, so I'm going to just copy that and paste it as such. I'm going to go down to, or up to, or wherever our index one is. Here it is, up here. And we'll do something similar. Well, actually, this is the correct one. I don't know. This one's supposed to be error down here. So we'll go and change that. Whoops, that's not what I want. That is definitely not what I did. Copy. Paste. So that is good. I'm going to go down here to the error one, and the error one should be for errors. Index. That looks fine. Error and error. So we'll go here and say error and error. Public path and public path. So I think that is fine. But now that stuff is hard-coded that way. We did make quite a few changes. I do want to deploy 2 of them, but right now I only want to focus on 1. This one's home. This will be home payday. I'm not sure if this will conflict if they're both named like that. And we could just say hosting here. That might be a little bit more clear. Because that is what it is. It's the hosting. And then we can go up to this one, and this will be hosting. And then we'll go down here, and this will be home, Arcanum hosting. And then I'm going to go ahead and comment out this block for now, because we are making some crazy changes here. And I'm going to type in clear here. Did we change anything in the or not the Terraform provider? The Terraform provider is the same. So I'm going to go ahead here, and I'm going to do an npm install. I don't think we need to, but I'm going to do that anyway. We are on the wrong tab. We'll do it over here. Npm install. It says no such file directory. Oh, npm. What? tf init. Sorry. We'll do tf init. See if anything's changed. I don't think anything has. We're going to do a tf plan and see if it can handle this. See if there's any errors with our modules. It's asking for the bucket name. It should not be prompting for the bucket name because the bucket name is going to be randomized. Now the thing is that we don't have the state file here, so I wonder if we need to pull or do something. That's a good question. So just give me a moment, okay? So something I'm wondering here is that we don't have the state file locally, even though it doesn't show up here. And I wonder if that there's something that's configured in here that's missing when we restarted it. So maybe this local solution is not exactly like the local with Terraform provider with Git pod has its own challenges, but there are commands like tf state that we can do. And so here we can do things like list and try to find out more information. So here it's listing out our state. And so here it's actually showing that there are resources, and this is the state that is coming from, I believe that this is coming from Terraform Cloud. So I'm just carefully looking here, but clearly there is stuff being found. And so we have pull current state and output to SD out, push, remove, show. So I'm going to say tf state show and see what's going on here. Show the attributes of a resource for Terraform state. We were supposed to, I guess, provide an address or to a state file. Path to a Terraform state file to use to look up to manage resources. By default, it will use the Terraform tf state file if it exists, which it does not because that is on Terraform Cloud. So I'm going to just type in tf state again here. What if I do a pull? Will that do anything? Because I'm hoping that what it'll do is go to Terraform Cloud and pull it down. And I think it did pull it down. I mean, we're seeing state stuff. So now what happens, here if I just type in tf plan, now what happens? Does it still prompt us for the bucket name? It still is. So I'm a bit confused what's going on here. I'll be back in just a moment, okay? You know, maybe the issue, because it's saying var bucket name, maybe that isn't a Terraform Cloud issue. Maybe this is defined somewhere and it's trying to pass it along. So maybe that's our problem. Let's just search where this might be. Clearly there must be like one lingering around somewhere if this is prompting for it, asking for var bucket name. I'm going to search the whole project for var bucket name. Maybe we just missed one. Find in files, var.bucket name. And going to here, well, we still have it here in our variables for the Terra Home AWS. It's interesting that that didn't complain before, but that's commented out, so that's not really a problem anymore. So why is it prompting for that? Because I'm just thinking like the name's always random. It should never prompt. There's this one here, commented out. There's this one here that's commented out. I don't understand why it's prompting. All right, I'll keep looking. Give me a second. Yeah, I'm not exactly sure why it's doing this. It's really, really confusing. But, you know, maybe what we can do is we can clear out our Terraform. Well, our state file's over here, right? So it's not over here in our project, but it is over here. Or at least there's something here. But what's really confusing is this prompting for that requirement. And we don't require that anymore. So I'm not exactly sure on how we're going to fix that. There's not a whole lot in these files that should indicate that. It's really, really bizarre. Yeah, I'm gonna have to keep looking at this because I don't know why it's asking for something. We know it's not, we searched the whole repo. It's not anywhere in here. So the thing is it's asking for a variable. So we go here. Oh wait, what the heck? It's right here. Okay, so you know what the problem was? I searched var bucket name and not bucket name. So if we go here, silly me, and we just type in bucket name, then it's here. What's interesting, didn't our deploy work without this? So whatever. I'm going to take this one out here and we're going to say public path. And then we'll take out the error one as well. And we'll take out the assets path. We don't need a description there. And so maybe this will resolve our issues. How embarrassing. But sometimes you got to stop, think about what you're doing and walk through it. But yeah, I'm going to do a Terraform init. I don't think I need to do that. And we will do a TF plan. And we'll wait a moment. And so now it's asking for public path. That is good because it is expecting that value, but it's not actually called public path. It's called this here. It'd be nice if we could do a more complex variable type, but you know, I'm not 100% sure what we could do for that. Let me just check here. Variable types. No, we'll just stick with this here. And I'm going to just call one Arcanum. Arcanum public path. And then we'll have one that will be the payday public path. Even though this is not being used right this moment. And we'll go over to our TFRs. Our example here. And I'm going to just change this to be public Arcanum and Arcanum public path. And this would be payday public path. And I'd say payday here. So the public path. Home, Arcanum hosting. And I mean, this one will be for later, but we'll just change this here to be, oh, we already have it set. Okay, great. So that one's set correctly. And we'll double check this one. This one is set correctly. Good. And we'll go ahead and I'm just trying to think here. Yeah, it's going to pull TFRs from here and not from Terraform Cloud. So that's totally fine. We'll go ahead and do TF plan. So those environment variables we set earlier in Terraform Cloud don't really matter now. But, you know, they probably will matter here eventually because, you know, I might go ahead and publish the provider so we get an experience working with our provider that way. But I just have to bite the bullet on that. So that is now updated. So those should match. Good. This is content version for that. They'll actually probably need separate content versions here. So we can say Arcanum content version. Arcanum content version. And then we'll have payday content version. Arcanum, that's good. This one will be payday content version. I want to have both of these here. And I mean, there's something, I want to just check something. I'll be back in a moment. You know what? I want to be a little bit fancier here. Well, I guess the question is, how would we set those then? Because there is a way that we can do nested variables, and that would make referencing the variables a bit cleaner, but I'm not sure exactly how you reference nested variables or set them in TFRs. So say, how do you set, well, I'll go ask ChatGPT. How do you set nested Terraform variables in the TFRs file? That's something I'd like to know. Yeah, so we could make like an object type, but how would we set that in the TFRs? This is more of like a complex type. I just thought of an idea of a funner type. The idea is that you can have an object and then those have those, right? Okay, so it's as simple as that. So let's do that. I like that because that'll just make this a little bit more tidier. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have one for Arcanum. I'm going to have one for Payday. Of course, name these based on what you want to do for yours. I'm going to double check the syntax over here. Yeah, it's curlies. And so I want one for content version, which will be 1. And then I want public path like this. And so we will grab this public path here. Okay, and paste this up here like this. And then I'll do the same thing for Arcanum. It'll be very similar. Well, the top one is Arcanum. And the only difference is this will be called Payday. And so now we kind of have something that's a little bit more organized. I like this a little bit better. And then in here, yeah, that's the TFR's example. We'll go over here and we'll do the same thing. We'll paste this in. And then we'll go over to our variables TF. And so now we can kind of refactor this a little bit. So we'll have a object type. So that I think that's a great idea. I'm just going to copy this example to save myself a little bit of time. And I'm going to go and paste this in here as such. Now we could do that with, like, see how we have Terratown's endpoint and access code? We could technically make that an object as well. But, you know, when you can keep things simple, it's better. But, you know, I just thought this was a fun example of how we can do something different. And so we'll do this. And the type will be object. And then we want public path and then content version. And then this will be a string, and this one will be a number because that's what they were originally. And then I'll go here like this. And we do, of course, get the validation at the lower level for this module, so that is a little bit better. But now that we have the public path, we could technically have had all of our overrides in here. So like if we wanted to specify the index file and the HTML file and the paths and have some change there, we could definitely do that, or have some defaults. And that would give us a bit more flexibility with our code. But I'm going to go here, and this one will be Arcanum. And then this one will be Payday. Yeah, I don't know why we didn't just make some defaults for those, but whatever. So we have public path, which is a string and content version. So now in our code, we are going to go back over to here. And so we'll just do Arcanum public path and Arcanum content version, which I think is nice. Then we have Payday public path and Payday content version. So yeah, I think that's a little bit better. And so I'm going to stop this here. And I'm going to try to do, I'll do a tfnit. I'm just paranoid, so I do tfnit constantly. And then once that's done, we'll do tf plan. And we do have an error with our assets directory, so there might be some kind of syntax error. We could have done interpolation here. I don't know why we don't. That might have been a little bit nicer. But we do have some issues. So in resource Terratown's home, the object does not have an attribute named domain name. And it might be because of the outputs. We definitely did change that. So we're going to go over to our outputs here. And this will just be called domain name. I kind of think I prefer that now. And we'll try this again, because that was definitely one of our issues. And we will scroll up, and it has the bucket name. This is Terra House AWS, because we changed the name to be now Terra Home, because that's what we would like the naming to be. And that would have been specified in this outputs over here, the top level outputs, and this is going to be home. And then this one will be home. And then this one will be home. I think that's a bit nicer. This is no longer Cloudfront URL. This is just domain name. Okay, and then we will try this, do Terraform plan. We'll give it a moment. We have reference to undeclared module, AWS bucket name, Terrahome _ AWS. No module called Terrahome AWS. Actually, we don't call it Terrahome AWS anymore. We changed it to be what it is, like Home Arcanum Hosting, right? So this is actually going to be this, Home Arcanum Hosting. Right? Now that makes more sense. We'll hit Terraform plan. In a real project, people rename things all the time. It's a constant pain. In here for the Terrahome AWS resource storage file, we'll make our way over there on line 32. We have a bit of an issue here. I mean, this makes sense. Well, it's not that anymore, right? So we'll go back to line 32 there. So this is actually supposed to be, I thought we copied this already, but we'll copy this here and then paste this in the interior. Here. Good. And we'll go and do a Terraform plan. Give it a moment here. And now we have an issue on line 40. So we'll go to line 40 and it doesn't like what we did there. I kind of want to do interpolation here because that's just, I think will result in less problems, less guesswork here. I'll take that off of there, but it's saying that unsuitable value for write operator append, a number is required. A number is required for the write operand. Because we did a plus there, maybe it can't add them like a string like I thought they could. At least in that case it can't. And interpolation looks a lot nicer, so we'll do that. And it looks like the plan is now working. We'll notice that it's doing a few things. It's going to go ahead and destroy resources. I want to go over to Terratowns and take a look at what's going on over there. And so we have our Terratown here. It will probably end up tearing this down. Notice that these have a unique value. So this value is probably going to change. I think it would because I think it will. But notice that it's going to have to tear down everything and make new stuff. And so I think that is okay. I think I'm happy with this. So I'm going to go ahead and do a Terraform apply, auto approve. We'll just say apply and just say yes then. Hopefully there are no errors with our outputs. But yeah, we did fiddle with quite a few things. So we'll go ahead and type in yes. And I'll see you back here if it's successful or if there's an error, okay? All right, so we ran into a small issue here. I mean, this resource is Terratown's home. I mean, that's fine. It should really be home Arcanum, but coming back over to here, failed to update for home resource 422 unprocessable entity. So this is actually something that is coming from the server. So that's kind of interesting, but what the problem is, I don't know. Usually it would print out the error for us. So we would see what it is. 422 unprocessable entity. Here's it. Failed to update the home resource 422 unprocessable. It's not telling us exactly why. I'm not sure if our provider actually gives us good detailed information about that. So maybe that's something that we could improve with our provider. If we go over to Terratowns here and you go to the profile, we can actually remove if there are ones that are here, but there aren't any here because they are, well, at least I think that they're gone. Well, there's one here actually, but usually I don't know why they're not showing up, but in the profile, they're supposed to show up here. All of our towns, we're supposed to be able to delete them. Again, not 100% sure why I can't do that. So there is a bit of inconsistency with the state here. So something that I'll have to go fix. But I think something that we can do in terms of an improvement is go over to our Golang code and actually get back state information, because I think it will return a response and tell us what the issue is, but we're not going to know in this case. So we'll go back over to Golang, which is the Terraform providers, Terratown, the main Go file here, and we have those 4 actions, right? Create, update, destroy. And Okay, so we have our create here. I'm just going to split this. And I'm going to go down to our update. Again, if you're having troubles with Go, you can just copy the whole file and avoid any kind of headaches dealing with any kind of Go debugging. But in here, we have our update function, right? And I want to get a response from it and print it out. So in our create, I believe that we have that, which would be the response data. So I'm going to copy this block here. Okay, I'm going to copy that. I'm going to paste it below in this area here. And then I'm going to scroll on down a little bit. And I want to copy this part. So I'm just going to copy this whole line here, and then I'm going to paste it in here, and then I'll actually find out what the issue is, because clearly there's a problem, but it's not telling me what the problem is. So that will be a change that we make there. Now this did fail, but that's totally fine. I'm going to go ahead and do a Terraform init. Actually, before I do, I'm going to do a bin build, which will delete a bunch of stuff, which is fine. And then I'll do tf init. And so now if we get the same error, maybe we'll get more information about it. But I mean, there might be something wrong with the site that I'll have to fix. You might do this and it's totally fine because I fixed the production server of Terratowns, but we'll work our way through it here. So I'm going to go ahead and do an apply and see what information I get. And we will say yes. So here it is trying to do an update in place update for that one. That is totally fine, but it would have to create all those other resources. I guess it's assuming that the other stuff is already there, and it's really just having a hard time with this. So we'll go ahead and type in yes and see what happens. I would think this would be fast because it wasn't showing everything. And so we get now 4.22, and now we get a better message. It says, should be greater than the previous content version. Remember we said that the content version has to always be incrementally more. So you can't just push 1 again, it has to now be 2. So what we'll do is we'll go over to our, that's great that this is actually the error. We'll go over to our TF vars. I'm going to increment the version to 2. I'll type in clear, and now we'll try Terraform apply again. Okay, not too bad. We'll type in yes. It's going to force a replacement of some resources. Let's see here. It's invalidating the cache. That always has to happen. It's replacing some triggers here of resources. Not 100% sure why it's doing those ones, but we'll go ahead and type in yes. Oh, because we updated the content version. Every time we update the content version, it will push out new code and will trigger new stuff. So coming back over to here, we have a different error. Should be greater than the previous content version. What are you talking about? We just incremented it. Did we not? We said version 2, right? Or did I make a mistake in our code when we referenced it? Arcanum, content version. So, you know, what is the problem? I'm not 100% sure. So what I'll need to do, because the server is not telling me enough information, and I can get this message to be a little bit better, so I'll be back in just a moment, okay? All right, so we're gonna try this again because I think I have a more verbose error message, and it's gonna tell us a little bit more of what's going on with our content version. That really shouldn't be failing, you know, so we'll go ahead and type yes. So it says should be greater than the previous content version, current 1 provided 1. So it's saying we're not updating the version. Well, did we update it in here? We did. It says 2. Over here, this says 1. I don't believe it's using this file, but I'll change it to 2, even though it has nothing to do with it. Like, I hope it doesn't try to load this one by accident. I always think that it is. I don't know why, but we'll try this and see what happens. We'll say yes. 1, current version 1 provided 1. Okay. So must be something wrong with our code here. We say var arcanum content version. That's the content version. Oh, down here. Yes, of course. Oh, it's hard coded. Okay. So we'll go var. I mean, hey, we got better error handling now, but whatever. I'm stupid today. Okay, so we'll go here and type in Arcanum hosting. Oh, apparently we can do. Well, that's like an export. No, we'll just grab it this way here. Var. Because that's not like stored anywhere, so we'll have to grab it this way here. Arcanum content version. But that means that we're going to have to update this one as well to do something similar. We'll go down here. So it'll be var payday content version. Okay. And I'll go ahead and hit Terraform apply. And we'll give it a moment here. And it looks like our version is updating. We're going to go ahead and say yes. And it looks like it's actually deployed. So that seems like that's working correctly. We'll go over to Terra Towns. Still surprised that I couldn't delete the town and it's not showing up here for some reason, but we'll work on that. That's a minor fix, I think. But we'll go back here, and so we can see that. I don't know why the name's wrong. I really want to fix this. I'll be back in just a moment, okay? You know why this isn't working properly? It's because I'm actually logged in as the admin user. Durr. So that's probably why this hasn't been working as expected here. Silly me. So I go here, and now I go to my profile, and now I can see I have this. Why my name's not filled in, I don't know, but I can go here and change it. So we'll go here and say Andrew Brown. So that's now filled in. So there isn't really a problem, but probably when I created my account and registered, it wasn't saving the name. Not sure why, but that's something we can fix. But yeah, if we wanted to, we could, I'm not going to do this, but we could delete this here. Let's do it. Let's delete it. Okay, we're going to delete it. If we go back over here, we'll see if it'll notice there's a state change. That might be fun to do. So we'll go ahead and do TF apply. And it should attempt to create that there. So wait a moment here. And here it says 404 not found body map. And I mean, that's okay, but I think that's an issue with our provider, because like if it's not there, that should be okay. It should be able to handle that. So maybe there's an issue with our because that's the thing. It could not be there, and that would be an issue. So I think this is not a problem with the platform, but more so the provider we wrote. So we'll go here and look at the read action, because I think that's what it will be performing here. I think that's what it's doing. See, read resource, right? And this is supposed to be able to handle a 404. So we'll go into our read resource here. And the issue is that if we get this, that's fine. Otherwise, set it to null. Let's go here. That's the delete. That doesn't make sense. I could have swore that we did a bunch of stuff here with our read. Yeah, so we have our read. And if the status is okay, then it does this. Otherwise, it throws an error. And it is printing back the error to us. If we got a 404, that means that it doesn't exist. And if it doesn't exist, that's fine. It should just return nothing. Let me go check my other code and see if we actually handled this exception, but I could have swore I tested for this. Yeah, definitely there's supposed to be a block here. I don't think it's here. Not found. Yeah, it's just missing. So we are actually missing some code here. It's a good thing we tested that, because that would have been an issue later down the road. But what we should, no, it's right here. It's right here. What's the problem? Okay, so maybe the issue is that it's trying to parse body, and there is no body to parse. And there wouldn't be a body to parse if it was over here. So that's interesting. So it goes here, it says 404 body not found, but I mean, that's what it should return. If we go down here, it should set the ID. Oh, this is does not equal. This is supposed to be actually equals. Okay, so we have a minor issue with that there. So we'll go bin build provider. Okay, and now I'm going to go ahead and do something here. I'm going to do tf init because we updated our provider here, and then we'll try to do a tf apply and then see what it wants to change. Tf apply, because it will actually go out and do a read when it does an update, right? And our state file is on Terraform Cloud, so it should read from there. And so now it's noticing that it's not there and it wants to create a new one. So that is good. We'll go ahead and type in yes. And so that's going to go ahead and bring back that resource there. I'll go refresh here, go to the profile. So yeah, there it is. It's in good shape. And we can click through here and we get our Arcanum page, which is pretty cool. I want to do a few other things like here. It'd be fun to have like a random button or other stuff, but I'll have to do a little bit of work on that for fun. But anyway, yeah, that's set up now. So the next thing we need to do is we need to try the other one. We want to see if we can deploy two of them. That was the whole point of this, right? Was to see if we could set up two different houses at the same time. Okay, and also Terraform Cloud. I can't remember. Yeah, I think we did that in this video, Terraform Cloud. So I'm going to uncomment our other block here. And so we have source.modules, Terraform AWS. The URL's fine here. This is fine here. We're describing the payday bar. We have domain name. We actually have it twice. This one's supposed to be content version. And it is the first time we've ran this as a version. So we'll go ahead and do a tf apply. It always does a plan, so I don't really mind if it does that. It says the module's not installed yet. It's not. Well, I mean, this is here. So maybe it's just saying that this module's not installed. Okay, well, we'll just do what it asks. So we'll do tf init. I mean, it is installed, but it's not installed, if that makes sense. So we'll do tf apply and then see what we get. So it should attempt to make new resources here. There we go. And so, I mean, it looks fine. Looks like it's doing something there. We'll go ahead and type in yes. I'll see you back here in a bit, and hopefully we'll have two Terra houses up, or Terra homes up soon, okay? All right, so after waiting a while here, it looks like the other one is provisioned. I'm going to make my way back over to Terra Towns. And now there are two in Missing Go, and so we can see that we have the both here. Notice that we also have a view count, so you click into it, you can get a higher view count. You got to refresh for that. It's not going to know there. Please don't abuse the view count. It's just there for fun. But yeah, so I think we made good progress here. I'm going to leave those up there for the time being. And what I'm going to do, right now they're public, but what I'll do is I'll change the code so Missing Go only shows up for yourself and you don't see other folks' ones there, if that makes sense. But anyway, what I'm going to do, because this is all good here, is, well, here's the thing is like right now they're in Missing Go and we can't technically switch out the where they are. So like right now they're in a town and you can't swap out the town without tearing them down and setting them back up. So what I'm going to do, actually I'm going to leave those ones up, but you know, at some point you might want to tear them down, but I'm going to just leave them up for now because these resources don't really cost a whole lot. And yeah, I'm just double checking here because we did a lot of stuff here. So yeah, we renamed a lot of stuff. So this is all okay. And so I'm going to go here and just say, you know, fixed issues with provider, set up two different towns, you know, all sorts of stuff. We did all sorts of stuff here. That's probably good enough. I can just refresh, make sure there's nothing missing here. We'll go ahead, we'll commit, we'll sync those changes. We'll make our way back over to GitHub. And I'm going to make my way over to my repo here. So this will be GitHub, Terraform Beginner Bootcamp 2023. We'll go over to pull request. We'll create a new pull request. We will go ahead and drop this down. We'll go to multi-home Terraform Cloud. We're going to go ahead and create that pull request. We're going to create this pull request. I'm going to wait for this to finish. We will squash and merge, confirm and merge. We'll make our way back over to main here. And that's been, yeah, so we'll go down here and we'll go git checkout main. I'm a little bit tired today. Don't know if you can tell. And we're going to go over to here and go to git graph, and we're going to see the latest version here. And so we now have 56. So I'm going to go git tag, git tag, not 56, what I'm talking about, 2.50. So this will be 2.60. We'll do git push tags. And so now that is now up to date. Okay, so I'm not sure what we want to do after this, but I'll have to decide. I mean, for the most part, we're in good shape here. Like, we've really accomplished everything that we wanted to set out and do. But if there's anything else that I feel that is worth putting into this week, I'll figure that out. But yeah, we are done here, and I'm going to stop my workspace, and we'll see the next one. Okay, ciao.